The other thing that we were very deliberate with that I think a lot of companies are challenged with is a lot of times when the customer is up for renewal, that is when you start talking about the value. But we really wanted to separate that and highlight our value before the renewal's up. As soon as the customer has enough adoption of our solution, we should be highlighting that value.
Hello, my customer success friends. Yuri Ezips here for CSM Practice, the strategy consulting firm for everything customer success. Today I have Angela Han, Chief Customer Officer, and Shirley Chapman, Senior Director of Customer Success Management for EMEA, PluralSight. And it's a great pleasure for me to invite both of them, as both these executives has a lot of experience with customer success and customer experience. And with this combined 20 years of experience, they have actually came up with a customer value journey map, which I'm so excited to have both to share. How did they take this methodology and applied it for PluralSight, and what kind of insights and new initiatives came out of that? Before we start, I'd like to remind everyone, subscribe to our YouTube channel for all the great videos that we produce on customer success. What is a customer value journey map?
Many companies map their customer life cycle from their own internal perspective, right? The customer value journey, or as we call it, the client engagement model, really maps the journey from the customer's perspective of value. The map is a tool that provides really clarity on what the objectives are for each stage of the journey, what the key activities are, some defined information that needs to be documented, and resources that help the CSM.
Angela, since you guys implemented it for your customer success team, what kind of benefits are you seeing for the team, for your clients?
First, let's start with the customer. As we've approached clients who are up for renewal, they really need to have a compelling reason as to why we should renew with PluralSight. And when we've really pivoted around the value and the impact that it's been having to their business and to their teams, this has been very helpful for customers to know how to communicate that internally, to advocate for the programs that they need. There's also a couple elements from when I think about the team themselves. PluralSight's been a growing global company, and we've really seen a need to help kind of harvest, like, what are some of the best practices we've seen with various customers across the globe? What are some tough lessons learned, and what would we do differently? And so when we've built this value-based client engagement model, it's really, I think, helped our CSMs get more confident about their role and how they're working with our clients, and empowered them to understand, okay, this is why we've designed this, and these are the things that I need to focus on when the customer's at this stage versus this stage in their journey with us. But hey, I might need to modify that depending on what might be going on specific to that client. And they're empowered to do so because they know the why behind this and how they're ultimately trying to get to making sure that the customer gets the value that they need. The last thing that I think is really important that has been specific to PluralSight is we as a company have really started to align on this. And this goes into the concept that retention may be transacted by the customer success manager and the account team, but in fact, retention is a company-wide priority and opportunity. And so as much as we've built our client engagement model to be anchored in value, we've actually been looking at it across the company. And so that's been something that's been really powerful at PluralSight as well, of making sure that the story of where we feel like we deliver most value, in what particular use cases, to make sure that we're impacting our clients' businesses, helping their teams, that has been pushed across all of the organizations at PluralSight.
Wow. So it sounds like it impacted the customers. The customer success managers now have a very real and clear definition of what to focus on. And even this transpired across the company. So it sounds, easy to do, but is it, how do you approach something like that? How do you identify the moments of value and those key perspectives of clients to create this customer-centric journey?
In terms of how we actually defined this journey, we actually brought together all of the leaders within customer success or I should actually say success organization. We structured a few, because of the pandemic, we couldn't all come together. But we really wanted to make sure that we had a global perspective on all of these ways that we engage with the customer. And we brainstormed. We actually started with, what does our customer go through? It actually helped us land on, these kind of stages. And then we actually went and put them into these stages, what kind of lumped together that we felt like when the customers are going through this, what can then we do to proactively guide them to achieve success in all of these stages. But I will also say, from a process perspective, once we as a success organization came to alignment, we then socialized that across the company. And two of our key stakeholders, as you can appreciate, is sales and product.
Yeah.
And so we had shared that we were going through this process with those leaders. And then once we had the drafts, we started to share and socialize. And not only did our sales leaders find this to be really valuable, because they can now better appreciate how can we team when we work together with our clients, but from a product perspective, they had their maps, their journey maps. And so we literally overlaid them and got really tightly aligned. So I think it's important that we have the customer-facing leaders really speak to what our customers' needs are and how do you guide them to success. But then we also need to socialize it and share it across the organization.
Did you use any tools that helped you guys visualize what everyone's were saying?
I think Angela used Google Docs, nothing more sophisticated than that. But I think actually that was the key part of it was simple. It was simple to do. We started with the customer questions. What are the things that a customer needs to do at certain points in their journey? And then from there, as I say, we then moved to, so what does that look like? What are the objectives for them of each of those stages? And then we could start drilling down. So really the first part was, what are the questions? As a new customer to PluralSight, what's top of mind? And it's really simple things like, how do we get started? Who do we need to get involved? How can PluralSight help us with this? So that was the key part, with, really from a piece of white paper. And then as we started drilling down, we could start to see that value was that thread through everything. And we landed on 4 stages, as Angela said, which was launch value, design value, realize value, and maximize value.
How do you make sure that change actually transpires? How did you educate not just the sales and the product team, but also each and every single CSM? And how do you reinforce that adoption actually occurred?
We did have a slide deck, and we did present it to, first of all, the sales leaders. Actually, I think it was really important to get their buy-in and alignment. And we did present it to the CSMs on a town hall, but I think that's really the first step. As you just said, it's something that needs just to be in your everyday language. Every time you're talking to a CSM and you're perhaps doing an account review, you're asking them about which stage are they at, and where they use the terminology that we use, and you can refer to the document that we have. And we do use a customer success management system. So again, we embed all of that in there. We expect things like success plans and business review decks as well, not necessarily to refer directly to the stages, but I think the language that you use with customers when you're interacting with them, you're talking about that, we're going to be designing value or helping you realize value. We don't need to be specific to say this is a model that we're following, but it really changes their mindset as well. So it's really embedded into everything that we do, and the CSMs are definitely well versed in that, and the other parts of the business too.
Obviously, this is a recent project and initiative that you guys took on, but would it be fair if I asked, are you seeing some initial impact on the CSMs, maybe from some customers or from the sales team?
I think in the beginning, one of the biggest impacts was it sort of freed the CSMs from, other lifecycle models that they've used and we have used in the past, which were really focused on the sort of traditional onboarding, engagement, adoption, renewal, kind of back to the beginning again, which kind of followed a fairly typical 90-day approach. And it really helps them think about, where is the customer on their journey? So that kind of gave them a freedom that they appreciate it and understand you still need to move through the life cycle, but it doesn't need to be sort of time bound in a very strict sort of quarterly type of approach. And I also think we saw the impact on the stakeholders that the CSMs are working with, because really to realize value, starting right from the beginning, you have to have the stakeholders involved throughout this journey.
I think the one additional element that may be relevant to some of the folks viewing is how it's helped build a tighter partnership with, I think, our product organization. But from a product perspective, it's really helped us align and talk about, how do we deliver to a differentiated experience, that brings true value to our customers. And there is a genuine partnership need there, but we're now really speaking a lot more of the same language. And our product leaders are very in line. They want to know what our customers are doing. They really value our perspective, but we're also trying to sync up better so that when we talk about product feedback, it is really about what's going to bring more value to the customer.
Well, having done this exercise and now having a clear customer journey map that's focused on value to customers, Angela, do you think that might change the way you hire or the skill set you're looking to hire into the customer success organization?
I do think so. And Shirley and the other leaders have definitely recognized that the needs to be able to guide your customer. There's a lot of different types of ways that customer success managers, have their roles defined at a company. But for us, we really need folks who can lead their customers. There's no doubt that with every CSM, we have to react and respond to needs that come up or escalations or questions. But when it comes to value, we need to be guiding our customers to their success. So we need folks who can lead, who can navigate those stakeholders, as Shirley has highlighted, and who can speak to, okay, it's not just about getting up and running on our platform. Now it's like, let's tie it back to what we discussed in the success plan. So really seeing that whole life cycle, having CSMs see those connections is really important.
In thinking back about this process, are there any tips that you would recommend yourself looking back, or things that you would recommend the audience on how to get started?
It's a really useful process to go through from a leadership perspective. Start with that white piece of paper and really think about this journey from your customer's perspective. It really changes, I think, thought processes and the way that we think about our product, and we think about our people. And most importantly, how we think about our customers.
On a tactical level, I want to underscore one of the things that Shirley highlighted, which is we put all of this in our systems, and we have an amazing partner to enable us in that regard. But that's critical, because if it's not showing up in their day-to-day, it's not going to get adopted. So I think having strong partnership and support in your systems to make sure it's getting reinforced is huge. And on a strategic level, I would just say, I hope all of us, as we go through these processes, can kind of free ourselves. For me, I was new to the organization, so I wasn't highly attached to some of the way that things are done or communicated. But to be humble about it, because I think we found we had moments, whether it was in the success leadership team or frankly to our adjacent team members, we really uncovered like, ooh, that's not so customer centric. And obviously that was never our intention, but you just kind of uncover some of those opportunities, and hopefully all parts of the organization, because they need to be a part of this. So bring them in and have them see the relevance and use this language, but just also be open to hearing what we can all improve on.
It's really interesting how you come in with specific vernaculars, how certain things show up that you otherwise, they're there, but you're not really seeing there. So that's really the power of this exercise, not just to do a customer life cycle journey map, but a value journey map. And then the stuff that you're going to get insights to and open your eyes to is just astounding. I want to thank you both, Angela and Shirley, for taking the time to share your initiative with us.